self-care is intentional. It's mindful. You schedule it for yourself. It's not something that you just end up doing by chance. Like, oh, I just ended up getting a massage because it was my birthday and my husband bought it for me for my birthday as a gift. No, that's good for you because it's relaxing, but self-care has to be intentional. Welcome to Goodbye Hangry. Learning to live a life that's happy, healthy, and full, one bite at a time. I am your host, Audra Budenseek. Hello and welcome back to Goodbye Hangry. I am Audra, your host. Today I have with me just Daniela, no Michael. Exactly what I was looking for. Welcome, Daniela.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome.
Michael's missing out on a real treat.
Yeah.
Today we are going to be talking about self-care. So just to start off with the question, what comes to mind when you think of self-care?
Bubble baths.
That's exactly what comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bubble baths, wine, meditation.
Yeah. Oh, meditation is good. I didn't think about meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I think about definitely bubble baths. That's the very first thing. I also think about massage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So relaxing.
Laying out at a pool, palm trees over you.
Even that stresses me out.
Really?
Because, yeah, I suck. Just kidding. Because I think about all the things that I need to do to prepare myself to get to that point.
Oh.
But once I'm there, it's fine. I don't know. I think it's just hard for me to relax. Because
That's
even
why-
once I'm there, it's hard for me to just lay there and relax.
Oh, man. Jake and I can pass out at the pool. That's why we just have 2 swim bins in our closet. So all we have to do is just grab a swimsuit, grab our beach bag, and go. Everything's ready. Don't have to stress about it.
Yeah, that's smart. I know Michael can't sit still. So it
Oh, yeah.
when we're together, I'm just
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, he gets so antsy and bored real easily. So I think that makes me stressed too. So whenever we go to the beach, it's never just like something relaxing. It's like we're swimming, we're walking, we're playing spike ball. Maybe that's why I think of it as stressful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jake can zonk out anywhere, so.
Yes, I've experienced that. We picked up an entire beach day worth of stuff as Jake lay there. He didn't even bat an eye. He didn't even wake up.
Pretty sure he was snoring too.
Yes. Yeah. Yep, for sure. But self-care is defined as doing things for your well-being. And it can fall into 4 different categories. So physical, emotional, social, and spiritual. Do you practice self-care in any of these areas?
Yes.
Which ones?
I mean, pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot better about it too. But I mean, physical can just be, when you are feeling burnt out from working out, taking a break. Emotional, bubble baths and wine. Social, just crawl up like a hermit crab in my bed and don't talk to anyone. I'm that whole fun extroverted introvert. So
hey, that's
I can be extroverted and be around people and have a good time, but to feel back up I have to be alone. So that's when I just crawl up in bed and just ignore the world, put my phone, chuck it across the room.
I don't need you.
Yeah. Spiritual, yeah. Meditation has been really good for that. So, yeah.
I think, for me, physical, definitely taking breaks whenever I feel that I'm burnt out. Emotional. Emotional, I think I read a lot. I'll read a lot and do a lot of that stuff. But social, I go both ways. I can refuel myself by being around people, and I can also refuel myself by being alone. It just depends. So if I'm alone for too long, I find myself falling into that dark hole. And then I'm okay, you have to be around people. This is not going to end well if you don't get out there. So then I'll go and I'll hang out with people. But then there are times where my entire week is filled with people, my weekend's filled with people, and I'm just drained and I need to reset. So then I'll spend some time alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like knowing myself and what I need. And I think it took me a long time to realize like that I need to be alone and I also need to be around people. Because for a long time I thought I was introverted. I was supposed to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's when like I get into my head the most if I'm around just me for too long.
Mm-hmm.
But recognizing that it can be both ways was
Yes.
really helpful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are any of the areas difficult for you?
Spiritual used to be. But once I made a routine of meditating or now like doing Wim Hof, and just how good I felt afterwards, it's now something that, I want to do and kind of feels, what's the word I'm looking for? Just out of routine if I don't do it. So
Yeah. I think for me, finding a balance between all of them is difficult. So I'm either doing self-care physically and neglecting the rest,
mm-hmm.
or doing emotionally and neglecting the rest, and for the rest of them, social and spiritually too. It's hard for me to, and I guess not hard, I guess it's a work in progress for me to find a balance between all of them. Because if I focus too much on one, the others will fall to the wayside, and then I have to back up on the one that I'm focusing on to
Mm-hmm.
focus on a different one. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm just like hopping around all these like self-care categories.
Yeah.
But eventually finding a balance between them will be the most helpful.
Yes.
I think for me too, when it comes to self-care, I struggle a lot with feeling guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Because for many reasons, but one of them is like I have a long to-do list and everybody does. And it's like no matter how much you feel you do, there's always more on your to-do list. So
Mm-hmm.
you're chipping away, and you go back and look at the list and somehow it's longer than before you started to do the 3 things that you just checked off.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what the heck? I'm
Yep.
getting nowhere.
Yep.
And so when it comes to self-care and taking time for you, it's difficult for me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even going along with that is about finding the right timing to do it. So I just prolong it until I basically burn out or break down, and then it's just a downward spiral into a dark hole, basically, where all I want to do. I went through this a lot working at Disney just because there was no time to do anything, that all I could get myself to do when I got home was just get some food quickly from the fridge and go in my bed and just lay there in darkness watching Friends.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Until I woke up the next morning and did it all over again.
Again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, especially, I have trouble sleeping.
Mm.
And there are times where I'm just exhausted because I'll go like weeks without getting a good night's sleep. And one thing that I know will help is if I take a nap, like a power nap or something during the day. But it's hard for me to even fall asleep because I feel so guilty. And the guilt gives me anxiety. Like I'm laying there and I'm thinking about all the things that I have to do. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you trying to sleep right now? Like get up and do these things. So that's what I feel. And it's very stressful. But the more that I practice self-care, the more that I realize it helps me do the things that I need to do. So instead of like feeling exhausted and pushing myself to finish tasks, now I feel like I have more energy. I can give more of myself to it. I get it done more quickly. I get it done more efficiently. I can concentrate better. All those things when I practice self-care. Crossing things off my to-do list just gets easier when I do that, as opposed to when I'm exhausted and I'm trying to power through it. And yeah, I don't put out my best work when I do all that.
Yeah. I think going along with that to-do list is you have to schedule self-care just as much as you have to schedule anything else. That's why I'm really working towards with Jake that Sundays, because I don't have to worry about worrying. Neither of us have to worry about working. Neither of us have to worry about going to the gym. We can just take one day a week where we don't worry about anything no matter what our responsibilities are. And the responsibilities are saved for during the week so that we can refresh ourselves for the upcoming week. And something else I've been getting better about, and is really, I think is really good for women to do, is to base it around your menstrual cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So when you know your period is coming up, you take a day and you allow yourself to, if you enjoy being lazy, like allow yourself to be lazy.
Yeah.
Take that day of just laying in bed and watching TV and, you know, eating things that you're craving, because your cravings are so much more heightened at that time. So
Yeah.
taking that bubble bath.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guilt and shame around self-care and taking time for yourself. And I know a lot of people, myself included, like you feel selfish when you do it, because not only do you have a lot of things that you need to do, but that's also time. I don't have kids, but that's time that I could be spending with Michael. And I know moms feel like that's time that they could be spending with their kids and doing those things. But self-care isn't selfish, because it benefits you, not only you, but it benefits everybody else around you too. And I see it in myself. Like when I'm practicing self-care and I'm feeling my best and I'm feeling well, I'm more patient with the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kinder to them. I'm kinder to myself.
Yes.
It doesn't just benefit me. And I see myself being better and doing better, especially with everybody else around me too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I have way better patience and control of my temper, and even just a clearer, more open mind to not let a discussion turn into a heated argument, you know, and you can just have those better conversations with people.
Yeah. I feel when I'm neglecting my needs in myself, I get more snippy with people around me, and I hate it. Like I hate that feeling when I'm like that towards people. I'm just like, oh. Afterwards, I'm like, that's not who I want to be. What was that?
Trying to pull it back into your mouth. It's like leaving. You're like, no, come back here.
It's too late. No.
It's not what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are signs that I need to like take time for myself, for myself, and just like back off and try to figure out what it is that I need. Because there's a lot of times too that I'm learning a lot about myself that I don't necessarily know what I'm missing. So if I step back and think about it, then I can try to like work backwards and figure it out and see like where the disconnect is and try to fill in that bubble, that blank or whatever.
Yeah.
But anxiety for me too is another sign that I'm missing a piece of self-care, whether it's like finishing a task that I know that needs to be done, because I'm really bad at procrastinating. And self-care for me is not procrastinating and doing those things, because when I procrastinate, I feel worse. So self-care for me is actually sitting down and dedicating time to something and crossing it off, because afterwards I feel so much better. And it's like the biggest tasks that I have to do that seem so daunting, those are the ones that I want to avoid the most. The ones that are like fun and crafty, I'm like, okay, I'll do that first. And before I know it, I'm like, shoot, I forgot to take care of all of that other stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, just figuring out for myself these signs and triggers, and then eventually knowing before I get to the point of snapping at people, before I get to that point, I already know that I need to take time for myself. So
yeah.
But everyone has different perspectives and experiences and needs. So self-care really isn't a one-size-fits-all type of thing. So not to speak for Michael, but he's not here, so I guess I will. Michael is a go, 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 go guy. He is a doer. It's very difficult for him to slow down. And it's to the point where he can't even acknowledge when he needs rest or when he's exhausted. He can't see it. And I've come to the point in our marriage and our relationship that I can see when he's starting to burn out, and I can recognize the signs. And so I'll try to like point them out to him and be like, hey, you need to just like rest, like maybe sleep in until 6 a.m. Maybe,
instead of 4.
yeah, you don't need to wake up at 4 tomorrow. Like it's Sunday. Maybe just wake up at 6 instead, you know?
People are just getting home from the clubs the night before. Like you should stay in bed.
Michael doesn't even know what a club is.
What's Ebor?
Yeah. So he only knows Ebor because that's where our church is. Wait, church is open at 4 a.m.?
Yep, totally.
So, yeah. So self-care for him is taking time to rest. And as opposed to like for me, it's making sure I do the things I need to get done. Whereas he's always doing the things I need to get done. So it's different for everybody. And today we have 4 tips for you to help you with self-care. And the first one is make sure you get the basics. So these are the basic needs that you need as a person, and that's eating well, exercising or being active, and resting and sleeping. So I know for me, when I'm not eating well, I'm not eating foods that nourish me and fuel me. I'm eating like crap. I'm eating processed foods. I end up feeling that way too. Like if I eat like crap, I feel like crap. And it makes me not want to do anything, makes me not want to see anybody. It makes me feel really icky in all areas. So when I start to feel that way, or like I feel like I'm going to snap, one of the first things I look at is my food. Like, especially if my energy is low, like what am I eating? How am I fueling myself? And a lot of times it comes down to what I'm eating.
Yeah. Yeah. I think going with that eating well is that people feel that they don't have enough time to be cooking every day. But if you do meal preps and you do that one day, then the rest of your week is all set up and you don't have to worry about cooking. You can just grab the food from your fridge. And so that way you're still eating well, but you're not having to take that time to prep. So that can be self-care for someone.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. Meal prepping works really well for us. We just spend a day out of the week. We cook 6 lunches, 6 dinners. We get our breakfasts figured out. And it's because during the times that most people normally eat, we're working. So to be able to have it, just focus on it in one afternoon and then have it and just heat it up and go. And making sure that we are eating properly. Because eating in a way that doesn't fuel you is easy. Like all those prepackaged snacks and stuff, they're just so easy to just grab and go. But those things aren't going to help you in the long run, especially if you eat them over and over again. If they're a staple to your diet, you're going to end up feeling bad. And exercise too releases all those feel good hormones, serotonin, and it's actually exercise has been proven to help a lot with mental well-being. Into rest. Rest is really, really important. I think in our society, it's go, 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 go all the time. If you're not going, you're behind. And if you're behind, you might as well not try. I feel like that's like what it is.
Yes.
And it's very stressful, but ensuring that you get the right amount of sleep and even taking like rest days from exercising, even if you're watching what you're eating, like sometimes rest is like taking a break from that, like going out to eat for a meal, eat that cupcake, like come on.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
it's one cupcake.
Yeah, so resting in those different ways, not even just with sleep, will help with recovery and also help with like your hormone levels, rebalancing all of that as well.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're just getting the basic needs as a living person, is considered self-care, and it's like the most basic form of self-care. Number 2 is to get to know yourself. Ask yourself questions like what motivates me, what relaxes me, what inspires me, and using those answers to figure out how or when you need that kind of self-care. But equally as important as asking those questions is knowing the things about yourself that hurt you, like the things, and not even just about you, but like other people that hurt you or affect you negatively. So asking yourself questions like, what are my limits? What are my stressors? What are my boundaries? And learning those things and being able to advocate for yourself, that is self-care.
Yes.
Speaking up for yourself and being your own advocate will help you go a long way too.
Yeah, even if it's just spacing out spending time with your friends. I know that sometimes there are periods where you don't see your friends for a long time, and then it seems like everyone wants to schedule time to hang out with you, and you feel like you're running around trying to see 5 different friends in one week. If you just tell them, like, hey, no, like, I'm already seeing this friend this week, I would still love to see you, can we plan it for another week coming up, so that it's spaced out instead of trying to shove it all in there, plus do everything at home and all of your work and working out and everything like that.
Yeah, that's difficult for me to do. We're from Indiana, but now we live in Tampa, aka Champa Bay. Uh, Go Bucks! In case you didn't know, they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, in case you didn't know.
And I'm totally a bandwagon fan. Just moving down here recently. Definitely a Colts fan, but it's fun to cheer for the city, the team for the city that you live in.
Yeah. So much different with Tampa Bay, though, than other cities.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
How so?
absolutely. Well, I mean, just in the fact that it's Tampa Bay, so all the teams here, they're including the whole Tampa Bay area, not just Tampa,
That's
versus
true.
so many other cities are very just city-based.
Yeah.
So, you know, like people in St. Pete are cheering for Bucks, you know, and Lightning. Because, you know, Lightning won Stanley Cup.
They
in case
did.
you didn't know.
That's why we're Champa Bay. We got all the champs. Anyway, we're from Indiana originally. We just moved to Tampa a few years ago. And whenever we go home, we lived there most of our lives. And Michael lived there his entire life. So when we go home, we have a lot of people we know. We had businesses there. We have lots of clients. And so seeing everybody, I feel like I need to see everybody because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want them to feel like they're unimportant. But by the end of it, I'm exhausted because I'm running around trying to make sure I see everybody and let them know that I love them. And it is stressful. And that's also like a boundary that I'm trying to figure out for myself because it's still pretty new, us going home. And it doesn't help anymore that now, when we first moved here, we went home like every other month. And now we're going home once a year, twice a year. So in that time, I haven't seen a lot of people. But anyway, figuring out that boundary is really important. But getting to know yourself isn't just like a one-time thing. You are always, for the rest of your life, going to be getting to know yourself. You're going to be changing. I hope you're going to be changing. You're going to be learning from experiences, evolving. Life is a journey, and getting to know yourself is part of that. So one way to do that, and the only way to do that, is to try new things and experiment with yourself. And that's why tip number 3 is to experiment. So ask yourself, like, what is the problem? What are you struggling with right now? And how can you help yourself or fix it? And that's self-care, making sure you're getting the things that you need, and then trying things. Try something. If it doesn't work, don't try to force it to fit. If you see that bubble baths work for somebody on Instagram, but you hate bubble baths, or I know people who hate getting massages because they don't like being touched. Like, don't force yourself to get a massage because massages work for other people. Find out what works for you, and that might take a few different tries. But stick with it, and then you'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, it could even be as simple as like your timing with it too. Someone might need a full self-care day, you know, once a week, once a month, in order to revive themselves. But maybe for you, it's just 10 minutes of your day where you do meditation, or a half hour where you put your phone away and you read a book.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be an all-day thing, and doesn't have to be just a small part of your day. It can be whatever fits for you.
Yeah. Like we said in the beginning, like, everybody is so different. Your life is different. Your needs are different. Perspectives, experiences, so many pieces of you are different. So finding what definitely works for you is best. Like, if checking your emails stresses you out, give some time for yourself in the morning where you don't check them, or time in the evening where you put your phone away, or even just dedicating like every 2 hours for 10 minutes, I'm going to check my email, and then leave it at that. Don't touch it anymore. So it's finding out what is stressing you or what's a problem, and then just coming up with a solution that helps you and your well-being, so you're not like frazzled all the time and stressing out about things. It could even be adding 30 minutes of reading a book. So if you love reading, but during the day it's so hectic and crazy, if you take 30 minutes in the morning to read some of a book that you want to read, or even like 30 minutes at night before you go to bed, taking just like, or even 10 minutes, starting small and working your way up. It doesn't have to be this huge event. It can be small things, like you said. And tip number 4 is learn to say no. I think this is hard for me, saying no. I want to help people all the time, all the time. And so when people ask me to do things, I always ask myself, like, can I actually do this? And sometimes I sacrifice my own needs to help other people. And for a long time, I struggled with feeling guilty about it. So if I'm not helping somebody with something, I feel guilty. Even if I'm like putting myself and my needs on the back burner. But I was talking to a therapist, which I love my therapist. I haven't seen her in a while. But she said that saying no is not selfish. So if you say no to somebody's want because you have a need, that's not selfish. If you say no to somebody's need because you have a want, yeah, maybe that can get selfish. So it's like finding out for yourself, because that line is different for everybody, and getting to know that part of you and where your boundary is. And then, like I said, being an advocate for yourself, because everybody has different lines, everybody has different boundaries. And if you're not communicating that to other people, there's no way, you're not even giving them a chance to respect that boundary.
Yes.
So you have to speak up for yourself. You have to give people the benefit of the doubt and the chance to respect that boundary for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tip number 5, which isn't on the page, but Daniela made a really good comment earlier, and so I wanted to add it, and it's that self-care is intentional. It's mindful. You schedule it for yourself. It's not something that you just end up doing by chance. Like, oh, I just ended up getting a massage because it was my birthday and my husband bought it for me for my birthday as a gift. No, that's good for you because it's relaxing, but self-care has to be intentional. While you're doing it, you need to recognize that it's time for yourself. Otherwise, it's just going to be a normal part of your day, and it's going to get brushed under the rug, and you're not going to get the full benefits from it.
Yes, absolutely.
So, like they said, scheduling Sundays for themselves is their way of practicing self-care. It has to be very intentional when you do it. But do you have anything else?
No, I think that was all covered very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to recap real quick, the tips for self-care is that make sure, number 1, you get the basics. Eat well, exercise, and rest.
And water.
Yes.
I wanted to add that in earlier and I forgot.
Yes, water. I think a lot of people forget to drink water. Water is so good for you. It detoxifies your body. It supports your systems. It keeps you hydrated. Skin, nails, all of it. You're going to look glowing. So make sure you're drinking your water. Tip number 2 is get to know yourself. And tip number 3 is to experiment. So as you're getting to know yourself, you're going to have to try different things and figure out who you are and what you need specifically, because everybody's different. So what works for one person might not necessarily work for you. Tip number 4 is learning to say no, being your own advocate. And it's okay to say no and not feeling like guilt or shame over it when you do.
Yes.
Tip number 5 is to be intentional with it. Be very mindful, schedule it in. You deserve it. You work very hard. And I don't know if anybody's told you, but you're a great mom. So make sure that you are scheduling that time for you so you can be your best self for yourself and everybody else around you as well. So that's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us. If you would like more information or help or anything like that, we're here to support you. You can find us on Facebook by joining our private Facebook group, the Fit Effect Movement. Just answer a couple of questions for us on there, and then we'll approve you to join the group. You'll find lots of great tips on nutrition, workouts, stretching, anything you want to know, mindfulness, well-being. You'll find it all there in our private group. We're excited to meet you. Until next time, bye guys.